Do you think it's smart to take a risk, or for like, let's say the teams that aren't very good in the top 10? Do you think this is a good draft to take a risk, or because there's not a lot there and the ceiling maybe on these risks isn't that high, that just going with a safe pick like Kawhi Leonard, who you know what you're going to get out of him, instead of say Montejunas, is that, do you think teams are looking that way, and what do you think about that?
Well, certainly every team's going to have a different philosophy, but I think it's probably better to take a risk on a guy in this type of draft because there aren't that many safe bets for all-star caliber players. Kawhi Leonard, to me, who knows? I mean, first of all, we know, and we can only sit here and speculate on that, and that's why there's so many busts every year in the NBA. The guys that get paid to evaluate the NBA guys, they can't even get it right. But to me, Kawhi Leonard looks like a guy who could just be a very good role player, a good defensive player, good athlete, but not a guy who's going to turn into a star because there's nothing that he does that's that amazing. I would rather take a chance on a guy who I think does have that upside, like a Montejunas, like a Brandon Knight, or take a guy that I know is ready to play right away, like a Kemba Walker, maybe even like a Kyle Singler later in the first round, or Nolan Smith, who can play at the NBA level right away, as opposed to a guy that maybe is, I don't know. I guess there's a lot of different ways to classify guys, and it depends who you ask. To me, Kawhi Leonard doesn't have the upside of other guys, so I don't understand why he's a lottery pick or top 10 pick. To me, Montejunas does have the upside because he's a 7-footer that can play on the outside. It can do everything, and there's just not that many 7-footers, first of all, but a guy with those skills is very rare. Brandon Knight certainly has a lot of upside. So, to me, I want to figure out who the guy is that has the highest upside, or I want to look at a guy who could play right away in the NBA and can be a relevant player from the get-go. So I guess that's not really answering the question well, but I either want a guy who's a really high upside or a guy who's ready to play right away. If it's one or the other, I'd probably take the guy with the high upside, especially if I'm a team that is drafting in the lottery that needs a lot of help because you need to hit a home run, you need to get a star, take a risk. You're already a bad team, so what's another role player going to help you with? It's not going to get you to the playoffs or get you to a championship level contender. So, I'd rather take a guy like Brandon Knight who might turn into a Russell Westbrook or a Derrick Rose one day, and, then all of a sudden you're a championship contender.
Basically, this is an odd time right now because it's sort of the last moment of action before the CBA, and what I'm wondering is, in your assessment, are we going to see a lot of trade action because of the unique circumstances, or are we going to see less trade action than we usually do this time of year? What do you think?
Well, we haven't had any trades yet, which is kind of interesting because usually by this time, right before the draft, there's already a couple trades either today or but anything. So that's, first of all, surprising. But, the word that I'm getting around the league is that there are going to be a lot of trades because of the lockout coming out, and this is the last chance tonight, really, for teams to make trades. So, we should expect a lot during the draft, but like I said, then again, there hasn't been any yet, so maybe there's just a lot of talk and nobody pulls a trigger. There's definitely going to be at least a handful of trades. I'm hoping there are a lot. Whether there'll be any blockbusters like Andre Iguodala or Monte Ellis or any of those guys getting moved, or Tony Parker, maybe there'll be one of those guys. I'd be surprised if all the big names got moved tonight. I think there more so is going to be a lot of little trades, a lot of movement within the draft. Big salaries getting moved. Things like that, just to make some little moves before the lockout comes, because it's not that easy to trade a guy like a Iguodala or like a Monte Ellis because there's such high salaries, and they're good players, obviously. They're all-star caliber players. So, but I do expect there to be probably a little more trades than usual, but I don't think there's going to be 20 trades or anything like that. Maybe we end up seeing 10, 12 trades tonight, something like that.
All right, here's a audience question, Ryan. Here it goes from Be Bogus at Twitter. Ryan, still have Alec Burks relatively high compared to other mocks. Any reason? So your Alec Burks is higher than other mocks. Why do you have that there?
I just have gotten the sense that the Bucks are really high on Alec Burks and that he's pretty much more or less locked into the lottery top 15 range at this point. So I don't see him slipping as much as some people believe. He's high on boards in that late lottery, and Milwaukee's one team that may be drafting him. They took him out to dinner when they had him in for a workout, and they left the other prospects at the hotel while they took him out. That's obviously a sign they like him. They're looking for a quality wing for the future. Obviously Michael Redd is aging. Then John Salmons is a decent player, but they need someone to step in, a young guy to be their future, I guess, two guard to play alongside Brandon Jennings. And he's a good, efficient player, a guy that can score, a guy that can make his teammates better. And I just am getting the feeling that Alec Burks is going to go somewhere in that 10, 11, maybe 12 or 14 range, but most likely 10 or 11.
We have a question from the precocious Nick Flint. In a draft like this one, is the amount of teams trying to move up surprising? Is it a smart move to move up in this? I'm guessing he means a supposedly weak draft, not to put words in his mouth.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Well, it depends where you're trying to move up to. If you're trying to move up into the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 range, yeah, I'd probably say it's not that smart of a move. I mean, if a team really likes a guy, they really like a guy. If they really have a feeling on a guy, who knows? We could all be wrong. One team could be right that Joe Schmo is going to be a stud. Who knows? It happens. But I do think that you're better off acquiring extra picks in that 20 to 45 range, because in there, all those players are pretty similar in my eyes as far as their level of prospects, what tier they're in. Where, you have Kyrie Irving, then you have Derek Williams, then you take a step down, then you have maybe, 5 or 6 other guys in that next tier, probably the fourth tier, I guess you would call it. Then after that, another 5, 6 guys, and then you have probably 30 guys after that are all around the same. So mid-second, if you get extra picks in that range, it's not a bad thing. But yeah, if you're going to trade up if you're going to give up something significant to get from 23 to 6, I don't really see much value in that. So I agree.
All right, we're going to have to let you go. Thanks a lot for coming on, Ryan. I'm actually going to be at the draft in a couple hours, so hopefully I'll get a chance to meet you there.
Yeah, definitely. I'm here now, so definitely come say hi. I appreciate you guys having me on today.
Thanks, man.
No problem. It was good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.